Hi everyone, today we're going to read a story that takes place on Cinco de Mayo, or May 5th. Now, Cinco de Mayo is a Mexican holiday and it originated in Mexico, but actually it's become more popular now and more widely celebrated in the United States. So Cinco de Mayo honors when the Mexican army defeated or beat the French in battle. And in order to honor them, people hold parades and carnivals and festivals to celebrate. So the story that we're going to read today is a fictional story called Cinco de Mauso. And it's about a mouse that's celebrating Cinco de Mayo. And as we read, I want you to think about the illustrations and look closely at them and the details in the story, because they're going to help us to describe the characters and events. And describing the characters and events will help us get a deeper or a better understanding of what the story is about. So before we read today, there are three words that I want to go over to make sure that you know, that you're going to hear in the story. The first word is stalk, and stalk means to follow. The second word is quivered. When something or someone quivered, it means that they were shaking. And the last word is aloft, and aloft means to come loose. All right, so let's read Cinco de Mauso by Judy Cox, illustrated by Jeffrey Ebeler. On the 5th of May, Mouse woke up and wriggled his whiskers. Spicy smells tickled his nose. Beany, cheesy, ricey smells. A Mexican fiesta. Fantastico. So now, when I look at this illustration, the illustrations have a lot of details in them in this story. And I can see the smells, which is the wavy line that we see going along the mouse's nose. And he's smiling. So I can tell that he likes the food that he's smelling. Looks like he wants to follow that smell. Mouse crawled out of his hidey hole. Where's the fiesta? Not in the bathroom where the kids brushed their teeth. Not in the bedroom where Mom folded the laundry. Not in the kitchen where Dad washed the dishes. Mouse slipped out the front door and set off to explore. The smell's still following him. Mouse scampered down alleyways, past sidewalks and streetlights. He didn't see greedy cat stalk him down the street. Before long, Mouse stopped at the edge of the city park. So now I can tell from looking at this picture, looks like the cat wants the mouse. Maybe he wants to eat him. I can tell because his eyes are squinted and he's staring right down at Mouse. It also says in the story that the cat is stalking him, which we learn means followed. What sights met his eyes? All around people were eating, singing, dancing, strolling, playing. All around were food and drink, sombreros, serapes, and bright paper flowers. Cinco de Mayo! His eyes grew round as he beheld a confetti-covered piñata, stuffed with candy and shaped like a burro, hanging in a tree above the plaza. I must have that for my fiesta. So fiesta means party, he said to himself. He jumped by the enticing piñata, swung far out of reach. So now I want to know, how can you tell from this illustration that the mouse wants what's inside the piñata? So what details in the story and the illustration tell us that he really wants that piñata and what's inside of it? But all around people were eating, dropping snacks for mouse-sized meals. Yummy foods he'd never tasted before. Tacos, tamales, chorizos, and flan. When Mouse was full, he dozed under the shade of the canopy, so he fell asleep because he was so tired. Cat crouched in the flower bed, tail up and head down, waiting for his chance. So Cat's hiding, waiting to jump out. But all around came dancers stamping, heels stomping, toes tapping. Mouse woke up and dashed away from Cat, ducking between dancers, pounding feet, zigging and zagging, jigging and jagging. Cat pounced. There he is pouncing. He's getting ready to jump on Mouse. But he missed his prey as Mouse darted beneath the stage. Mouse heard the mariachis play. He heard the guitarran, the trumpets, the sweet-voiced violins. He heard the boom of fireworks and people shouting, "Viva Mexico!" When at last Mouse's heartbeat steadied, his whiskers quivered. Once again he smelled the candy hidden deep in the piñata. But how to reach the sweets, buried in the burrow, swaying high above the plaza? So far out of reach. Lickety-split, Mouse scrambled up the tree. He inched across the rope like a tightrope walker, one paw in front and one paw behind. He didn't see Cat hiding in the daffodils, his stripy tail switching, his greeny eyes narrowed. So now I want to know, what do the details in the illustrations tell us about how Mouse is planning to reach that piñata? Think about what we just read and what you see in the picture. The piñata swayed as Mouse climbed up. He smelled the treats, fruity, sugary, and honey sweet. He nibbled, he gnawed, but he could not reach the treasure inside. Just then came the swish of the stick as a child swung and someone jerked the piñata aloft. Remember, aloft means loose. Mouse held on tight as the piñata swayed and sailed, dipped and spun. A carnival ride for Mouse. In the plaza down below, Cat waited for Mouse to fall into his paws like a ripe plum. So Mouse is up here, Cat's all the way down here waiting for him to fall. And then, whap! A mighty blow and the burrow burst. Mouse flew through the air like a skyrocket and landed in the rose bushes, head spinning and tummy churning. Candy spilled across the plaza, showering like hailstones. Children ran to and fro, laughing, yelling, and scooping up handfuls, pocketfuls, bagfuls. Someone stepped on Cat's tail and... So now I want to know, how does this illustration help us to understand why the cat's tail got stepped on? So what were the children doing that made them step on the cat's tail? Cat yowled and sped home, his tail bruised and sore. When Mouse caught his breath, he sat up. The candy was gone. The people were leaving. The cleaners were sweeping and picking up trash. No dessert for me, Mouse thought, his whiskers drooping. But wait, hidden in the ivy, Mouse spied one lemon drop, overlooked, forgotten, and wrapped in shiny cellophane. He picked it up and ran home to his hidey hole for one last treat. Cinco de Marzo, que felicidad! So at the end, how does the illustration tell us how Mouse is feeling after he finds that unwrapped piece of candy? Take a look at the details in that illustration. All right, so I hope you enjoyed that book and you learned a little bit about Cinco de Mayo. And when we were reading today, we looked at the illustrations and the details from the text to help us describe the characters and events in the story. So you can do that anytime you read a fiction text.